What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we've got some awesome information for you guys, so let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're starting off with some big Animal Crossing news. So Animal Crossing New Horizons developers have hoped that their updates in the future are going to give surprises for years and years to come. We all know that Animal Crossing New Horizons has been a massive hit for this year. This game is selling crazy numbers, and the developers don't plan on stopping anytime soon when it comes to the updates for this game. Here's what one of them had to say. Quote, Animal Crossing is a game where you're able to enjoy seasonal changes throughout the year, and it syncs with real time. And through that, you are able to basically sync your real life with the game. We want to make sure that in 2 years or 3 years down the road, players will still continue to find new surprises in the game. So we hope to create an update that you can do that with. So this is actually pretty cool here. I always love what the Animal Crossing developers have said since the game is launched, because it's interesting. Before this Animal Crossing game, I had never really been too much into Animal Crossing. I played the original on the GameCube. I played pretty much a little bit of the other ones, but the original was the one that I played the most before Animal Crossing New Horizons. New Horizons by far has the most playtime that I've ever had in an Animal Crossing game. Now, some of the updates that they've done so far for me have been a little bit meh. I know the Bunny Day thing didn't go over well with many people, but we do have some pretty cool stuff coming up here for May. So for example, we have the Nature Day, to where you can go somewhere else, right? They have the whole wedding season that's coming up as well too. So there's still quite a bit of stuff to get into, and it's interesting though, because it leads me into our next thing that we're going to talk about when it comes to Animal Crossing New Horizons, and this is the data miner Ninja, and he's found out that potentially in a new update that we could be getting the return of the Dream Suite. So that's going to be interesting. So in Animal Crossing New Leaf, they introduced something called the Dream Suite. Now, it allowed players to visit dream versions of other players' towns, both friends and just random people out there, or you can share yours online with others without any real repercussions. You don't have to kind of go in there, or they can mess something up. So it was actually a pretty nice little feature. That hasn't made it into Animal Crossing New Horizons, but it could. Now, the feature is a little bit different from visiting a town regularly. For those who are wondering, well, what's the difference between just going there? There are limitations in place, right? You can't visit shops or cause any of the havoc, like the best friends, to where you can actually pull out weeds, or you can dig holes, or you can do all sorts of stuff right normally. So the Dream Suite was more of the low risk version of that, if you don't want to get your place jacked up, but you want to just kind of keep it at arm's length, right? Now, with those limitations, Dream Suite is really interesting. And once again, Nintendo did not bring that into Animal Crossing New Horizons, but it could return. Now, data miner Ninja has uncovered possible evidence of Nintendo getting this feature ready for a future update, but he does say that fans shouldn't assume 100% that it's going to happen. Now, the hints do include the quote Dream ID. This has been present since version 1.0.0, but the addition of the quote ActorNet Dreamland in version 1.2.0 and the new block of code that involves sending a pack of data to Nintendo's servers. So you guys will see a lot of stuff, or I'll actually have it in a link in the description below. There's also a number of other things that he shared as well, talking about like a Froggy chair not included anywhere. There's the 3 new Nook Active Mile achievements. So there's a bunch of other things that he kind of gets into. If you want to check out the full list of stuff, you can definitely check it out, link in the description below. But I think the Dream Suite would be really cool way to kind of have a low risk, arm's length way of being able to visit people's islands and not have to worry about potentially all the stuff that happens. Like when you visit somebody's island, right, it's like they're flying in, and then they walk up, and everybody has to close out what they're doing. I would hope in an update Nintendo can actually get that fixed, because that's the major thing that I don't like about playing Animal Crossing New Horizons online. Now, it's fine once everybody gets in, but if you're streaming and there's a bunch of people coming in, and every single time we have to stop, wait, and then watch them come in through a boarding gate, that's not necessarily cool. So this will be a way to circumvent that. Potentially. And also another thing about this is that maybe they update it to where it's smoother, right? To when you go to somebody's island or something like that, you can just go there without everything stopping and them watching you come in, and the little airplane thing and all that. That sequence needs to go if they can. I know data's very careful. You have to be careful with data when it comes to Animal Crossing, because there's still no actual save data backup at this point. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to what the Animal Crossing devs want to do in the future? Also, with the Dream Suite stuff, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the next topic here. Capcom has talked about the possibility of more Street Fighter titles for the Nintendo Switch because they actually view the system as an important platform for lots of different types of games. So Capcom isn't ruling out more Street Fighter for the Nintendo Switch. In a recent interview with US Gamer, the series' longtime producer Yoshinori Ono said that the company would consider Nintendo's console if there's another opportunity that makes sense for them. Ono also indicated that Ultra Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection were financially successful on the platform. Ono has a positive outlook when it comes to Nintendo Switch, so let's go ahead and get into what he had to say. Quote, "Since the Switch came out, we've released Ultra Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection for that platform. From a business standpoint, these two titles were a success. We are seeing many competitive titles, including Smash Bros, doing well on Switch, and players are enjoying those type of experiences on that platform. If there's another opportunity that makes sense for us, we could consider the Switch again. Regarding Street Fighter V, it is currently exclusive to PS4 and PC. However, as mentioned above, we do see Switch as an important platform for all types of games." So this is interesting because Street Fighter V is a game that Sony bought the exclusivity, right, for that, and I think that Sony would probably want their money back if they could go back, because that did absolutely nothing for them. Street Fighter does not have the type of clout that it used to have, even when Street Fighter 4 came out. Street Fighter 4 and Ultra Street Fighter 4 and all the ones that they did there were way more in terms of sales. If you just like count up the numbers when it comes to PS3, when it comes to Xbox 360 and the Nintendo 3DS, those main core systems with Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo that it launched with, it sold way more than Street Fighter V. Despite Street Fighter V being on an install base with the PC and the PlayStation 4, I mean, while they got the money, right? Obviously, Sony gave them for that. I'm not sure if Sony would have done that again. I think they thought it was going to do much better considering the success of Street Fighter 4, but I think that going forward in the future, having a game like Street Fighter 4 or Ultra Street Fighter 4 on the Switch, that'd be really cool. That game actually sold really well on the 3DS, right? So that was a 3DS, and it had online play, it had all sorts of cool stuff, it had a ton of characters in there. So if they can bring that game over to the Switch, I think that would be dope, because many competitive people out there, and heck, even casuals, think that Street Fighter 4 is superior to Street Fighter 5. And as somebody who played Street Fighter 4 and I've played a little bit of Street Fighter 5, I would say, yeah, Street Fighter 4 is definitely better to watch and it's better to play. So if they can bring over that game to the Switch, I think Street Fighter fans will be happy. But what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to potentially getting more Street Fighter on the Switch? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All right, and moving on to the final topic here, we're going to be going over the best-selling Final Fantasy and Resident Evil games of all time in the United States. Now, a couple things to note with this, guys. This is MPD, United States, not all of North America or this whole hemisphere of the world or anything like that. And it's based on dollar sales, which include physical/digital full game downloads and stuff like that. But you have to remember, some games on this list were cheaper at launch than other games, so it is going to coincide with that, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we're going to start off with Final Fantasy. We have number 1, or we'll start off at number 10. Number 10, Final Fantasy 11. Number 9, Final Fantasy 10/10-2 HD Remaster. Number 8, Final Fantasy 9. Number 7, Final Fantasy 10-2. Number 6, Final Fantasy 12. Number 5, Final Fantasy 8. Number 4, Final Fantasy 10. Number 3, Final Fantasy 13. Number 2, Final Fantasy 7. And number 1 is Final Fantasy 15. So let's go ahead and move to the Resident Evil category here. Then I'll give my little take on it at the end. So at number 10, Resident Evil Director's Cut. At number 9, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. Number 8, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. Number 7, Resident Evil. Number 6, Resident Evil 2, the 2019 version, so the Resident Evil 2 remake. Number 5, Resident Evil 6. Number 4, Resident Evil 7. Number 2, Resident Evil 2, the original Resident Evil. Number 2, Resident Evil 4. And then number 1, Resident Evil 5. So very interesting to kind of go about here. Let me give you guys a little bit of my take first on Final Fantasy. To see Final Fantasy 15 up there does not surprise me. That game had so much extra stuff and content and download, and it sold really well here in the West. People were hyped for it. Did it live up to everybody's expectations at first? No, but I guess it eventually got there with the Royal Edition. You include that, people buying everything. Final Fantasy 15 did really well. Final Fantasy 7 Remake is probably going to get on this list at some point once it hits other systems, or just maybe later in the year when there's more regular physical copies and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it's good. Final Fantasy VII is right up there, which is very interesting. The fact that Final Fantasy VII is still up there after all of these years, so just shows you how groundbreaking that game was. Now, moving on to Resident Evil. Resident Evil 5 makes absolute sense. That game was so big. It was running off of the hype and the and the excitement of Resident Evil 4. Then to get Resident Evil 5, Chris Redfield's coming back. You see Jill, you've got Wesker. Man, it's just crazy. So yeah, I can absolutely see why Resident Evil 5 is still up there. And I think that's still Capcom's best-selling Resident Evil game out there, man. And I love Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 was like my jam back when I was in college and everything like that. I can punch boulders with the best of them when it comes to it. And of course, Resident Evil 4, my two favorite Resident Evil games pretty much of all time. Resident Evil 4 is my number 1. Resident Evil 5 is probably my number 2. Then Resident Evil Revelations, which isn't even on this list, is probably my number 3 favorite Resident Evil game of all time. So very interesting, very interesting. Another note though is that the rankings account for data collected between January 1995 and February 2020. Any additional releases or sales beyond that point is not included. So there's probably some extra residual sales with some of these games, but for the most part, they're done selling for the bulk of what they're selling. But interesting, very interesting to see this list here. Two of my favorite franchises out there with Final Fantasy and Resident Evil from Capcom and also from Square Enix and everything. So let me ask you guys a question. What is your favorite Final Fantasy games from this list, and what's your favorite Resident Evil from this list? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts along with what you guys think with Animal Crossing and also with the possibility of more Street Fighter on Switch. Let me hear it in the comment section below. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the link in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you for the next one. Peace.